right, man. All right, well, if this is your first time on the Corner Store podcast, man, I appreciate you stopping by. And yeah,
No
man, let's
doubt.
get to it. Let's get
I
right
get
to it.
rounds. I get rounds of applause and all that. I
Of
take it.
course, man. Of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, like me knowing who you are, right?
Right,
You kind of calmed down over the years. So
man.
I'm
Tell
talking
my wife
Marcus.
that.
I'm talking Marcus 2021. Now the old Marcus, I'm
Right,
sure
right,
you
right.
had like a different feeling towards this movie. And like I would give Brandon the title of
Yeah,
Mr. Pro Black because you should see Brandon. He be going to work
oh
in his
man,
Black
listen.
History Month t-shirts and stuff.
Oh man, look. Some of the stuff that he says
Yeah.
it's it's unique, but I mean it's his opinion,
Oh
It's
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
don't get me wrong, it's enough to make you mad, enough to take you there,
Oh, of
But
course, of course.
yeah,
You know
but
what?
he's definitely my alter ego now. I
Oh
let him
yeah,
have that.
yeah. Well, shout out to him because today's his birthday. So say happy birthday
Yeah,
to
shout
him.
out to B. That's my dog, man.
Yeah. So first and foremost, man. So what you think of the movie overall?
Overall, I mean, it's a great flick. Is this the movie that he made around the time he was getting canceled by the culture and all that stuff?
I think he made this. Maybe it's probably 2 years old. I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I remember it was buzzing back then, but I think it was an amazing film. It gave me vibes of Fruitvale Station.
Mm-hmm.
Very similar. Same with Crash. Those type of movies they don't really get the probably the attention that they should. I think when it comes to black culture as a whole, I think we get a lot of those the history, the black history films, which is nothing wrong with that. Everyone needs to know their history, but when it comes to the current events, I think we can put right on center stage the things that are issues that can be discussed, amongst the lunchroom table or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Some people it may be taboo or whatever the case may be, but altogether, I think it was riveting, man. It was heavy. It was had some interesting, a lot of different interesting elements to it, but I loved it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, this movie is definitely timeless. I mean, he could have came out with this movie 2 years ago, 4 years ago,
Hmm.
6 years ago.
Agree.
I mean, with the way that the climate is, with race relations. I mean, this
Yeah,
movie could have came out literally any time in the last 20 years, and
agree.
this is like his first project since Birth of a Nation. And you remember, he had a backlash back then from this his media circuit.
Yep,
Like,
yep.
people was throwing him under the bus, like Gabrielle and Union, Robin Roberts threw him under the bus. The black
Man, that's
feminists were actually
unfortunate.
going after him, but they didn't go after him because of the movie. They went after him because he was married to a white woman.
And that was what I remember. I knew something. I remember he was getting canceled. They were trying to cancel him for something that was around the same time. I get so lost with all the names. If it's not Me Too, then it's something. Always something. So, but yeah, it's timeless. I like that word. It's definitely timeless. Just like Crash. Like for me, I love Crash. Crash is one of those movies where I think we could all we can say that's a timeless film. We can take something from it, same type of theme, same type of theory to it. But yeah, I loved it, man. It was great.
I
It
saw
was
that
great.
movie twice in the theater when it came out back in the day.
Crash,
Yeah, I saw that twice. Yeah, actually, I went
really?
downtown, so I spent a lot of money, a lot of money. To see the
Man,
movie.
yeah, man. I don't think I ever went to a flick twice. Like, man, I can't even think I went to it twice. What was it on purpose? Was it?
One of my friends from college took me, and then I took some other
Okay.
chicks. So,
Uh,
so,
that's
so
what's
that's how
up.
I went. Just
Yeah,
cupcaking back
yeah,
then.
yeah.
Yeah.
Got you. Yeah, man. But yeah,
Yeah.
I loved it.
I mean, like, it's so unfortunate that Hollywood kind of blackballed him. I mean, you think that Hollywood is so liberal, but as
Right.
far as the way that they treated him, as far as just like keeping him pretty much out of the spotlight, or just canceling him in general. I mean, he's a very talented actor, and
Yeah.
clearly we could kind of see the way he could kind of like write his own movies, direct his own movies, distribute his own movies. So
Yeah.
he pretty much a guy like so many different talents, and he know how to put a film together. So that's what I like about
Yeah. Well, I think it's unfortunate too that, in order to meet the criteria that comes with being accepted within the culture, that you have to meet. certain, you have to meet, you have to check certain boxes. You know what I'm saying? But then,
Yeah, you got to play
you
the
know,
game.
yeah, and then,
Yeah.
if you look at the other aspects of our culture as a whole, say with like our rap music, you know, you can't get on the song talking about certain aspects of life if you haven't lived it per se. You know what I'm saying? It's not so much the content itself that's the issue. It's like, oh, he really didn't grow up that way, or you really didn't, as they say, really not about that life. So it's unfortunate that, one of the great creators, of our time, young great creators too. He's shown, and he's not putting out garbage content. The content is legit. It's unfortunate that he's kind of like, you know, kind of being boxed in or out, for that matter, because of, as you said, married to sound. I didn't know he was married to a white woman or whatever, but I
Right.
don't
I
think
mean,
that should
that's
have
that's
anything to
that's
do with it.
very irrelevant to the whole discussion anyway. But the fact that
Right.
it was canceling him for that reason, I just thought it
Yeah.
was so unfortunate.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, man.
So, as far as the film, man, like to me, it kind of put a mirror when it came to police procedures, police, practices, and as far as cops, that's a very low ceiling or low bar as far as the way that they use deadly force. All they got to
Yeah.
just say, "I fear for my life," but when it comes to a soldier overseas and like in the
Yeah.
middle of a war, their standards much higher. I mean, they had to get shot at in order to, pretty much like engage. So it's like a double standard versus overseas
Yeah.
versus the homeland. You know what I'm saying?
So so that's crazy. The irony is I was thinking that, thinking about kind of how you were gonna orate this discussion. And I wanted to speak to that, but I also didn't want to speak to that fact because I've never been a service member. Shout out to you and everybody else that served this country.
I appreciate
But that's something that I thought about. I said,
it.
when it comes to POWs and even war crimes in general, that I mean that they don't play around with that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it just seems like even on our homeland, the burden of proof is so much greater
Hmm.
than than other realms, and it's unfortunate. But at the same time, I don't want to spoil the movie for anybody that has not seen the movie or whatever. I know we're reviewing the film, but I think it was telling when he was given the history behind African Americans in this country, and the Hispanic police officer who was defending the white police officer.
Hmm.
He kind of had a comeback for everything that the black guy was saying to him, and it's just kind of like, we live this every day. We live this
Yeah.
every day,
You know what?
and
That was interesting dialogue because I thought the dialogue was too clean because when it comes to like high stakes emotional conversations like that, everybody
yeah,
got their points across cleanly, like in like the real world, everybody be screaming at each other. So I mean, I,
right.
I know it's
Well,
just a movie, but
I
it was
think it
just too
needed to.
clean.
I took that. I don't disagree with you at all. I don't disagree, but I think it was imperative that that dialogue got through to the watching eye. You know what I'm saying? To the
Right.
to the to the white female juror who's never had an encounter with an urban black kid. You know what I'm saying? She needed to hear that dialogue cleanly, and even if it's in a form of Hollywood. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, and because one thing for sure that we can agree on is that rarely ever do we find ourselves finding common ground with someone we don't particularly agree with under normal circumstances when emotions are involved. It's virtually impossible to reach some type of common ground. And I do think that if when it comes to issues of race and police brutality and even stretching outside of race and the women's rights and things of that nature, I think if we were able to remove emotion and you know have open dialogue, I think we would be able to see each other's viewpoint. But now where that finishes and where the final resting place of that conversation of understanding, where that ends up, that depends on the two people. And I think the revolving door that we're living, and what the film actually depicted, is how that revolving door would just keep going on and on. That's what that dialogue was kind of like, well, what about this? Well, what about black on black crime? And how many times have we heard that?
Yeah.
What
That's
about black on
go
black
to.
crime? Yeah, that's a go-to move. And it's kind of like, well, it's not to say that someone who already has very limited understanding of racial inequalities and prejudice for African people of color when it comes to police encounter, that's totally understandable that they would think, well, if it's about black people dying, well, black people kill black people all the time. It's like, okay, you don't know the history behind it, you don't know how we got here, talking about crimes of proximity and things of that nature. There's a lot that goes into it, but there's got to be an open dialogue where and a willingness to learn and understand, and I
Yeah,
think that's where I find myself kind of like bowing out of a lot of conversations. I kind of assess, does this person really want to learn? Does this person really want to understand?
yeah.
Or do they just want a
Everybody clings
spirited
on to
debate?
their own personal belief. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah, a lot of people just
yeah.
want a spirited debate, and I'm not here for a spirited debate anymore. You know what I'm saying? I don't have
Mm.
the patience or the willpower to stay engaged in conversation. If you don't want to learn about something that I can teach you on, I don't want to hear your opinion.
Mhm.
I'm 38 years old now. I can do without unsolicited opinions. I'm fine.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That
Yeah,
facts, man. Facts. Yeah.
yeah,
There's this particular part in the movie in which his son was FaceTiming his friend, and his son, he was kind of militant. He was just
yeah,
like
yeah,
going over the law about a book, and then his father kind of came in and be like, hey, I totally
yeah,
get where you're coming from, but in the real world,
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah,
this American skin, things kind
yeah,
of operate differently. But I mean, overall, the law is fair. It is
yeah,
fair, but the people are flawed. That's what makes the whole justice system kind of
yeah,
messed up, because you got jurors that's going to be biased. You got the prosecution that's going to be biased. You got judges
yeah.
and prosecutors, police chiefs. I mean, everybody's biased. That's going to
And they
like that.
hang they hang out together, and their kids play soccer with each other, and they
It's a big
they
cocktail club. It's
yeah,
a big
it's
club. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Shamefully, or not, I was watching Basketball Wives with my wife earlier today,
Hmm.
and one of the scenes had it was actually one of the few thoughtful pieces that they had, but one of the ladies, she was asking her kids, three of her children. I think the oldest was like 12 or 13, the youngest was like 7, but was asking them, what do you do if if you see mommy getting arrested or something of that nature, and they, it was like, put your hands up, and then next question was like, so if police officer came in our house right now and did this and then the third, what would you say? And the youngest one said, I was asking, do you have a warrant?
You've been watching too many movies or something.
Right, right. So when you said about his militant son, is like, actually, yeah, you're right. You
Oh
are
yeah,
right. That would
yeah,
be
he's
the
right.
question that you ask. But how you respond in real life versus what the law says is totally different. And I think, that's the part that just kind of like, I think it's until it's on someone's doorstep, I think it's virtually impossible for them to grasp the how heavy it is and how real it is. I've had situations that I'll take with me forever as a life lesson, but I'm also thankful to still be here to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
and I think we've all had one or more in situations where we find ourselves in moments just kind of like, wow, this is not, it's not right. And then what do you do? What do you do? Like, how do you fight against it? You feel like you're kind of screaming into a pillow.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
man.
unfortunate.
As a father with two daughters, I mean, like my conversation with them is going to be totally different versus like a father who has sons. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
I was still telling them about police procedures, but I also got to like talk to them about instances of like men harassing you, like walking down the street, like street harassment, or if they on a college campus,
Oh yeah.
don't.
Sexism and racism go hand in hand. Classism too, in a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of ways.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, totally different conversation that I plan on having with
Yeah.
them, but pretty much I got like another 15 or so years to kind of rehearse this conversation in my head as far as how I'm gonna, convey that message to them. So
You might have to get on that sooner though, because
yeah.
a lot of our girls, they mature differently and so forth. But you kind of want to have them prepared, before they even run into a situation where they come asking questions. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And I say that from a standpoint, still as as someone without children, granted. But even in my lessons that I learned from my parents and my elders, a lot of the things that they tried to, instill in me were lessons that, they gave it to me on time. I didn't have to learn it on the fly. There were things that I weren't prepared for. I was not prepared for it as well. But like you don't want to wait till 18 or something like that, and then you know, it might be too late then, it's because you can't save them from everything, but you
Yeah.
can't prepare them from everything either. But man, the way that this world is now, that they have access to everything. People out here just people are wild.
Oh
People are
yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
People are wild.
My oldest one turns 5 in 2 months,
Man, where did
and
the
the other
time
and
go,
the other one
man?
turns 2 in June. So, but yeah, I mean, time
Yeah,
is
her
flying,
most
man.
her most fond memory is gonna be when you took her to that Lakers game when we went to see LeBron. That's gonna be her most fond memory too.
She- oh man, she don't. I'm sure she forgot about that. You know
That's
what?
gonna be her favorite
I
memory.
actually had a good time, and I mean, just to see this man play in person. I mean, it was
Yeah,
an honor to see him play, even though I can't
yeah,
stand his ass. But it's all
yeah,
good
yeah.
though. It's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I never got to see Kobe. I never got to see AI. I seen LeBron. I wasn't gonna miss that.
I
Yeah,
actually
but
saw
no.
Kobe play. Yeah, I saw Kobe. I remember it was December of 2005. That season, players was like wearing those long tights that
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
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 because I was sitting at 300 level, and I could easily point him out because he was wearing those purple long tights. So I was like, oh yeah, yeah, Kobe right there. I think he was still wearing
yeah,
number
yeah.
82 at the time. And halftime during that game, they retired Scotty's number. So Mike was there, Scotty, Phil came out.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Phil came out, Dennis Rodman, Tony Kukoc. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
it was a great
yeah,
experience. But Lakers ended up winning because the Bulls kind of trash that year. So
yeah. I imagine so. Yeah. Or no, man. Yeah, I want to see, back to the movie thing. I want to see more movies go mainstream, um, with the narratives not just centered from one angle, which is black kid gets killed by the police, families upset or whatever. Like, I want to, hopefully through even art imitating life, we could see more narratives that will help us uh, progress forward in other aspects. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
What I mean by that is, as I said, I believe art imitates life in a lot of ways, and I don't want the beginning to and end to just be, black kid gets killed. This is what happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, at some point, like, hopefully, I don't even know where it starts. I know, it's Illinois just signed a bill now with
cash.
police, yeah, cash bail and requirement for all body cams for all officers and things of that nature. And right out the gate, you're hearing police factions say, "Oh, this is limiting us and things of that nature." But in my mind, I'm like, this is accountability. You know what I'm saying? My father is a retired police officer in the Chicago Police. He did 30 years on the force. I was sitting right next to him when it flashed on the news, and he said, "This is great. This is amazing. I can say that as a police officer. They need this." So there are a lot of police officers that are actually in favor of this. That's why they say, and it's true meaning mine. There's a lot of good cops out there that really, are for the better good of the community. But then the ones that don't want the accountability, that have issues with it, those are the ones that have you scratching your head. And it's
Yeah,
a reminder that I don't know that the problem's gonna ever go away.
yeah.
I don't know that the problem will ever go away.
Now it's two points at the movie. I'm not sure if they embellished on these 2 points, but the first one is if there's a police shooting, then the cop goes home and he has to wait for his union rep or something. I'm not
Yeah,
sure if
that's
it's true
weird.
or not. Yeah,
That
And
was weird.
yeah,
I've never heard that.
yeah. And the second point is if the cop was to pull out his gun, he's trained not to de-escalate the situation. I thought that was kind of weird.
That was weird too. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Which brings to brings to the forefront other initiatives that are being proposed in different at different arenas. Like when you have people out here homeless or even just suffering from any form of mental illness. To the common man, someone suffering from mental illness or having an episode could very well be um uncomfortable. I'll use the word for most people. It would be very uncomfortable. So for someone trained to neutralize a threat, you could easily mistake someone having an episode for being a threat. And that right there is a reason why you should not have police officers responding to cases of mental illness. You know what I'm saying? They're
Yeah.
trained professionals out here that are trained to deal with that daily. But I don't even think they're trained well enough. And I say that as a son of a woman. My mother, she suffers from dementia. She's diagnosed with dementia about I want to say about 8-9 years ago now,
Mhm.
and some of the situations we've been in is maddening. It's maddening because you got a loved one that needs care, and you quickly realize you hear the catchphrases and the things that you hear on the TV about funding and lack of facilities and lack of this and lack of that. It gets real. It gets real. So to realistically have social workers respond to cases of mental illness, I think that that sounds more feasible than sending a police officer to respond to that. But again, I don't think it's feasible because we got the funding that goes into mental health right now.
Yeah.
We still don't take that as top priority right now. There
Yeah.
are other things going on. So, but and then like you said, to that I guess that would tie into the neutralizing the threat. That I don't understand that. I don't understand
Mhm.
why we have to be so militant.
Yeah.
But I say that loosely, being someone that you know is strongly living in Chicago, living in Illinois, even on the outskirts of Chicago, in the western suburbs. I still feel uncomfortable going into the city now, especially. You know what I'm saying? As an older man now, I'm not a young guy no more.
I was
I don't
telling
want
people
no
the other
smoke.
day. I was telling
I don't want no
Cassie,
smoke.
I was like, when I'm going to the city, I feel like I'm literally going into the belly of the beast, like every single
Yeah,
time.
man.
And not only you got to fight or look out for the pitfalls of carjackers. I mean, you got to look out
Yeah,
for potholes
yeah,
every 200 feet.
man.
The city
Right.
is tearing up, man.
Right?
Crazy.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, I don't want no smoke, man. I don't want any smoke. So I say that as somebody who, if I need to get my concealing care, which I'm trying to do, but like I'm not also trying to be an aggressor, but I say that saying I'm aware that it's action out here.
Right.
It's action out here, and
Mhm.
when you got people out here as as law enforcement officers, everybody can sit up and say, what they should do and what they won't do and what they can't do until you're in that situation, and for a lot of these guys, you know, they don't, they, some people view I feel like some people view police officers as like trauma from their past. Like they used to be the kids that used to take their names and write their names on the board when the teacher walk out the room. Those are the people that become police officers and they make you mad. But it's
Oh yeah,
actually, I think,
I constantly hear that cliche. Yeah, over the years.
yeah, yeah, but I think it actually, for some people, um, not to get too far off subject, but
Mhm.
the vaccine and everything that we have going on right now with COVID-19. I read a very interesting article that correlated the distrustfulness on the part of African Americans in terms of getting the vaccine. A lot of it is rooted in the lack of Black doctors and the lack of trust of African Americans in medicine. Is just the lack of African American medicine, professional. And I do believe that representation does matter. So for the law enforcement portion of it, we need Black police officers. You understand what I'm saying? We need those individuals out here patrolling the streets because you want your kids to be able to see that they can. If you want to tell your kid they could be anything, we need to see what it looks like. You understand what I'm saying? It can't all be
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
can't all be the robbers. You know what I'm saying? It can't all be the robbers. But so I think that we give color officers of color. Sometimes I don't think we give them a good enough, a fair enough shot. I think we kind of bust a lot of those guys into just that group. You know what I'm saying? But they
Yeah.
can also, that's what that part of that accountability, and I think we saw that in the movie too, and that the female officer spoke up on behalf of being a woman.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
His issues. Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, we need more of that all around where, you have to start speaking, we see in our industry, we see people doing something out of pocket, and a lot of times it's like, I think, you'll find people take it upon themselves to say something, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just about having a conscience there. And I don't, that's the part I don't understand about this, why is that back to blue does not really mean like support. It's like the ops, it means like you my op now. That's it's like fighting words. It's
Oh
kind
yeah.
of crazy,
Yeah,
you
man.
know,
So it's so
defend the
unfortunate.
blue line and all that stuff.
Yeah. Now, I was actually joking about what's a Brandon about the fact that how they push these vaccines on like people of color, mostly blacks, and I was telling him how like imagine there was like a comet coming to Earth. Will they be telling niggas like they'll be the first people in the bunkers?
But see, this the thing though. Like, are they really pushing it though? I don't think they're really pushing it though on this. I think the
During the
history. I
election
think
season, they was doing that.
yeah, they were trying to, you know what I'm saying, because
Yeah.
they weren't getting a lot of fair studies from our community, you know what I'm saying? But and again, rightfully so, you had the Tuskegee experiment and things of that nature. Like people are that's traumatizing, man. Like why would you ever walk into that situation again willfully? You know what I'm saying? Like back then, a lot of them, some of them didn't feel like they had a choice, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But now willfully, why would you walk into something that feels very eerily familiar? You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I get it. But then on the flip side too, it's like they're saying, well, there's not enough vaccine, not enough African Americans getting vaccinated now. Although the COVID numbers are showing that the African American community is being disproportionately affected in the death rates. So that's that double-edged sword. It's like we can't. I don't think we can have it both ways. We can't have it both ways. At some point, we're gonna have to I don't. I'm not gonna say we gotta like be the olive branch. We don't have to be that olive branch or the test dummy. But I mean, seriously, at some point, what gives? But that's where it's important. We gotta have the right people in right positions and right places to see someone that says, if he's over there, I'm rolling with him. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? If this person is in this position, I'm rolling with him. But we can't even back those people because those people that are in no position, we label them as, oh, he's this, oh, he a sellout, or this to that. It's
Yeah,
like,
that's
come
what he
on,
said
man.
about Tyler Perry because he came out with some special trying to get black folks to like be on board with the vaccine. So I mean, I, I'm still 50-50, but I'm leaning towards getting it. So
Yeah,
I was actually
I,
investigating just yesterday as far as trying to get on the Walgreens app to try to get an appointment, but I was told
yeah.
it would probably crash. So to like just constantly try again. But I'm gonna try
You
to get
got
the
you got all
vaccine.
them vaccines from the military too. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm used to getting them. I'm
you
used to
already
getting
got
them.
the component. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? They already put the chip in you way back when.
yeah, that's true,
So
man. That's true.
that's the thing. Like, I mean, I'm a very literal person. I'm literal when it comes to ideas and opinions. I get literal, and I'm just like, all right, well, you don't want to get the vaccine. You ever had a TB shot? You already broke. You're already off the. You know what I'm saying? Off the vaccines. You know what I'm saying? They say you off the Molly. You off the vaccines already. If you got the TB shot, you got the measles shot, you're already off the vaccine. So you stopping now ain't just a conscious thing now. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
it's more of a conscious issue because, you know, you know, you take over the counter medicine. Who you don't know what all that such as crypto cockabaka acid and mixed with such and such and such and the right trait. You don't know what that stuff is.
yeah, yeah. That's a good point.
you know?
Yeah, yeah. People don't
So
investigate none of those ingredients, so yeah,
no,
totally get it. Yeah.
no. Nah, but I understand. In my own right. I'm still apprehensive. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
I get it. Like I definitely get it. But I think I'm not closed minded to it either. Just for the sake of I don't want to. I'm tired of living like this, man. This is crazy.
Oh
It's
yeah.
insane.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of excited to get back on a regular schedule in early April because I mean 5 on and 5 off is fine, but I'd rather get back into my normal routine. And plus, it would
Shit, I've
help
been
out.
saying that for months.
You said what?
I've been saying that for months, bro.
Oh,
I've
okay.
been saying that for months. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man. I mean, this whole schedule's getting old, and we was on it for literally a whole year. So I'm ready to go
It,
back to the old ways of doing business.
it added years to my life, and I got some good, valuable time at the crib, and so
Hmm.
on and so forth. But at the end of the day, man, I'm a worker. You know what I'm saying? I'm a
Oh
worker bee. So
yeah. Yeah.
it's just I don't get the satisfaction out of not being able to kind of move about freely and things of that nature, man. I'm ready to get back to it. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, finally, if I let you go, let me get to the actual climax of the whole movie. So
right,
remember at the mock trial, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because he wanted to kind of play out his scenario so that he can allow the cop to know exactly how he was feeling. So
right,
in order for him to do that, he had the jury had to vote guilty. Had they voted
right,
not guilty, he would never gotten that satisfaction of having that cop getting on his knees and playing
right,
the whole scenario. So that was like the
right,
key part of the movie because he needed that guilty verdict because he wanted to play it like a real trial. He didn't want any biases or anything. He wanted them to go into the deliberation room. He wanted them to
yeah,
talk it out, and he wanted them to come back with an actual verdict. I mean, he wasn't trying to influence anything, but the fact that he
yeah,
got what he was looking for, he got that guilty verdict. All he wanted
yeah,
to do was that cop to feel exactly how he was feeling by him calling his wife, saying that he's not going to come home. I mean, I'm sure that was a like an agonizing, like low feeling to like have, what I'm saying?
right, right.
And and once that scenario kind of like ended, he kind of knew he was going to get killed because remember when he told Amari Harrick, "I see you on the other side."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I might have been a figure of speech, but I knew before he even walked out. I'm like that the whole point. I just knew it in my mind. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? He was gonna get killed. But
yeah,
yeah, I think that if for him to end up in the situation that he was in the first place, I think that kind of was the hint of like this is not going to end well potentially, but I
mhm,
say potentially,
right,
not going to end well for him, especially when you take police officers hostage or whatever the case may be. There was another line in there where someone said, "Well, at least you didn't kill any police," and it was just like that's the irony. You don't have to kill police for you to end up getting killed.
right,
But yeah, it was the ending, the irony of it all, and the beauty of it all too was that yeah, he needed that guilty verdict, like you said. But I reading, again, just kind of deep diving deeper into it. Kind of feel like when you believe in something and you know what you stand on is solid, those numbers gonna hit. Those numbers are gonna always hit for you.
yeah,
And he did it all to make a point.
hmm,
And I think that whether the verdict would have been guilty or not, he had those kids recording, and he wanted the world to see, regardless of what happened. He wanted the world to see what what went into his truth. You understand what I'm
right,
saying?
right,
And I don't, and I think that's important now. Like as some of our great leaders, and you gotta see that Judas and the Black Messiah, but Fred Hampton and those other guys. They said the revolution will not be televised. You know what I'm saying?
hmm,
And you know, in a lot of ways, I think that as going back to the very beginning of our conversation, if we could see each other's truth and see each other's story as human beings, and remove the emotion out of it, I think whether it's guilty or not, I think we can kind of evaluate what we could have done better and what we could do better in each and every situation and those moving forward. And I think that's what this country is right now. I think it took this insurrection, unfortunately, for America to really start seeing like, wait a minute, okay,
hmm,
this is getting out of hand here, and all these people are doing this while they're shouting all these mantras that coincide with everything that people of color and other people are saying about that these people exist. It's like It's almost like the lights went out. With this last administration, it's like the lights of the country got cut off and all the roaches came out,
Oh,
and the lights came back on, and all you see is all the roaches running around. And now America's like, oh, we do have a problem. Like it's like, hey, yeah, we do. So now we're forced to kind of look at ourselves. I think that was what he wanted. He wanted everyone to look at themselves. He wanted, regardless, guilty or not. And as that police officer walking out said, this has me looking at everything differently.
yeah, exactly.
Has me looking at everything different. That was his last words before he walked out. This has me questioning everything was actually what he said. And I think that was the whole point. I think that was the whole point, to make you question.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Excuse me. Yeah, man. Good shit, man. Yeah, definitely appreciate you taking the time out to have this discussion about
No
America
doubt,
and
man.
about police, about race relations. So, but yeah, man, I'm definitely excited to like do the next one. Whenever we have some time. So, yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely
just
be on
let
the
me
phone.
know, man. Let me know, bro. I'm gonna telling my wife, man, I was getting ready for my TV debut. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling real. You
Tell
know
her
what
say what's
I'm
up,
saying?
man.
I will. She upstairs. I'm feeling real Brian Gumbelish right now. Brian Gumbo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, you got your Black History Month shirt on too, man. So
Man, I wish
you
the
get free
camera could
occasion.
flip. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to represent, man. It's only a few more days for the shortest month of the year, but
Mhm.
it is what it is, man. They got me quarantining too, so I got to figure out something to do for these next 2 weeks. I got to quarantine.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
man. Because I was trying to get Reggie to. Well, actually, Reggie told me he was thinking about starting a podcast before I, end up having him at DeLorean, because we was debating, Jordan versus LeBron a few months ago.
Oh man, see, that's what you should have had me on, bro. Like you should have had me on that.
You know what? We're gonna have like another video that's gonna talk about top five, and I gave them certain positions in football. So we're gonna do
Yeah.
offense on one video, and then on like a separate day we'll do defense. So we supposed to did it a
Okay.
couple weeks ago, but he was busy with his kid's birthday, so we
Yeah.
just canceled that day. Just gonna have to figure out some day in the future to like do that video. So
All right.
yeah.
But yeah, let me know, man. I don't be having nothing to do at all, bro. I just be
Uh,
sitting in the crib on PlayStation. That's it.
okay. All right. Cool, man.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. This is Marcus Edwards. Stopping by the Corner Store Podcast. Definitely excited to have you again, man. So thanks for stopping by, man. I'll see you later, bro. All
Peace, bro. Grab you some loose squares on that corner store.
right. Good deal. All right, bro.
All right,
See you
bro.
later. All
All
right.
right, dog.